Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
And welcome. For today's Activists Around the World, we decided to extend our coverage on Indigenous activists with an Inuit, Haitian, Taino artist, activist, and so much more, Siku Allooloo, which is a really fun name.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to put that out there. It's very, melodious.
It is,
right? Mm-hmm. Which is fitting because she is a very amazing artist and it just fits her. But she is currently in Canada, but Allooloo graduated from the University of Victoria with degrees in anthropology and Indigenous studies, which is a fitting educational background for the amazing work that she has done and continues to do. Not only has she worked to uplift Indigenous stories and voices and preserve the cultural depth of her community, but she has done it through her beautiful storytelling. Y'all, there's a lot. And there's so much to her, even though we're focusing on her specific artwork. We'll mention briefly about her activism, but there's a lot there. So you should know, of course. So let's get started. So from her site, SikuAllooloo.com, Siku Allooloo, Inuk, Haitian, Taino, is an award-winning interdisciplinary artist, writer, and filmmaker from Yellowknife NT by the way of Miti Matalik, or Innu in Haiti. Her poetic sensorial work weaves the intimate and intangible with archives and cultural materials to represent ancestral trajectories. And that disciplinary includes film, poetry, art, and so much more. Everyone should go and look at her site as well. Her work is incredible. She does have an Instagram, but it is private, so not sure why, but it's private. So maybe you can request to see her artwork. So this is also from her Wikipedia page, which we know we love to see a Wikipedia page on women. They should be in there. They write, Siku Allooloo explores a wide range of themes throughout her work, with a strong focus on reclaiming and revitalizing Indigenous knowledge and traditions. She is particularly dedicated to addressing the patching of ancestral gaps caused by colonialism, working to restore cultural continuity and strengthen Indigenous identity. Her work also emphasizes land-based education, teaching from a cultural perspective that reconnects Indigenous peoples with their ancestral lands, languages, and ways of knowing. Allooloo has employed a diverse range of artistic techniques, including traditional and contemporary practices such as intricate traditional beadwork, evocative poetry, hand-carved stamping, and documentary filmmaking, which we are focusing a bit more on, just FYI. Again, her work is gorgeous, and she is pushed to honor her people, her family, and her community through her works. Her 2022 award-winning film, Spirit Emulsion, captured the beauty and history of her family, specifically her mother, in such an authentic way. The film, which was shot with a Super 8 camera, and for those youngins, this is an old-school camera way back when, and you can tell the difference in the artistry of it. But for those of us who were born in that era, we know. It's okay. But it follows her Taino Indigenous mother in her life as an activist and co-founder of a bilingual Indigenous paper titled Indigena, which was published in North America, which was one of the first, by the way, to do so. So this is from her website and the synopsis of the film. A connection to my mother in the spirit world reactivates Taino culture and presence, revealing a realm unseen. Meanwhile, amidst a backdrop of flowers everywhere, an ancestral act of sovereignty extends into the future. Filmed on Super 8 and developed by hand with plant medicines and botanicals, Spirit Emulsion evokes a language for Taino filmmaking in relationship to the earth and cosmos, breathing an ancestral connection into new form. And yeah, if you have a chance to go look at any of the trailers, you should, because it is gorgeous. Her words and storytelling is amazing, and it is an amazing backdrop to her digging into her mother's past, who has passed, by the way. So here's what she told CBC News about the film. My mom passed into the spirit world about 22 years ago, and I'm actually working on a feature-length documentary to represent her activism. She was a very important Indigenous activist back in the 1970s with the Red Power movement, both in the United States and in Dinant Day. Taino indigenous people are the people originally of the Caribbean who encountered Columbus, said Allooloo. And she continues, my mom was one of the early advocates to assert that Taino people still exist. There's a moment now for Tainos across all the Caribbean and also the diaspora to regenerate our culture and traditions and practices. There's a lot of energy there that my mom helped to start back in her day that's actually flourishing today. This whole process for me in the making of the short was really like an opening prayer for my practice as a filmmaker and my preparations to make this feature-length documentary about her. And it was really beautiful because she continues to guide me. I feel her presence in a daily way all the time. And yeah, she is currently working on this film with a current project, which was awarded a grant from the Sundance Institute. So it should be released, I'm guessing, the next year. And it's titled Indigenous. Again, from her site, here's the synopsis for that. To fulfill a dying wish, a filmmaker retraces her mother's work as an activist and journalist during the Red Power movement, bringing to light 500 years of Taino resistance and igniting her own journey of reclamation. So there is a trailer out for that. She's talking to her uncle about her mom's work and the presence of her mom in this movement and how powerful she was, how outspoken she was about the Taino culture. Now, we've kind of talked about them before. We talked about them with our cross episode with Margaret Killjoy. It's a fascinating conversation, and I love seeing the overall look of the Taino people coming to reclaim their culture as because they were forgotten or at least silenced for a long, long time. And yeah, it does cross everywhere. So it hits like Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Haiti, all of those areas. So it's really important that we talk about that because we don't want to lose a whole group of people to white supremacy, to anything, but especially that. So again, the trailers alone are incredible. You should go and check it out. And she's produced these films through her own production company, Akia Films, which she writes is, quote, an avant-garde Indigenous film production company centered on artistic, culturally grounded storytelling, rich audiovisuals, and sovereign narratives. The word Akia means the other side in Inuktitut and also refers to her mother's nickname. There's also a reference in her father's culture saying that it kind of talked about the mountainous waters. So like a lot of reference here. And on the site, they have several key things that is important to them and their work, including their missions, which they write is this. Akia strives to create films that lovingly and profoundly reflect the power of Indigenous stories and people while actively fostering decolonization and resurgence by working in a highly relational way embedded in culture and community, engaging appropriate protocols, ethics, processes, and frameworks, creating innovative project strategies that amplify grassroots work, collaborating with trusted partners, and centering community care, consent, and narrative sovereignty, which I thought was really important that we put that in there because it's such a label of ethics that we don't often see, especially if people are trying to do Indigenous stories that aren't Indigenous. They don't understand all of that, I think. Allooloo's work also goes hand in hand with her advocacy work, including her work with Indigenous nations, which calls for the Indigenous nations to become more independent and work through their own government affairs and freedoms. So they're trying to separate themselves from the colonization that still stands in place and trying to create their own country and nationalism, which I think is really important. She also worked with Human Rights Watch to help investigate the human rights and issues that are occurring against the Indigenous women of Saskatchewan. So she apparently did a lot of investigation for them as well. And of course, again, these are just a few. We didn't highlight all of the works that she's continued to do. There's so much. She's, like many of our activists that we talk about, have so much under their belt that it would be, we would need her, we need her on as an interview, to be honest. Like that's what we really need to talk about all this work. But with that, we wanted to talk about her poetry because she is an amazing writer, has some amazing essays on there. I wanted to include so much more work, but I'm like, no. Everybody needs to go look at her site. And if you need to spell her name, it's Sikuallooloo. You should definitely go and check out her site. But this is one of the poems that she has featured on there, and I thought we would read it for you. And it's titled Interface. There's a couple of words in here that I'm pretty sure is Indigenous in her language that I could not find the pronunciation for. I feel like you may already know this. And Christina is wonderful at editing all of my mistakes out. So apologies if it's wrong. It's really hard to find. If you know the correct pronunciation, let us know. We want to know. We want to be educated. So this is the title, Interface. An interface between my ancestral line and the world that seeks to eradicate us. I so invoke, adorn, connection as protection. Through a spiritual gaze, the potent double space where future and past coalesce reveals the invisible thread by which we span eternity. I reach back to know you, Anana Tinak, stitching, tracing, embracing these spiritual lines, a prayer across time. I find you waiting for me, smiling gently. With wordless grace, you unearth the nuance of our strength, quiet power, from the realm beyond the words and sight, where truth is stark and fearless. Armored in our innate love, with arms of generations wrapped darkly around me, I am free to celebrate our existence, persistence, with joyful, sovereign madness. I really like that one. And there's so many more that you should check out. Yes, if you have a moment, go look at our stuff. I have a feeling that we will be coming back to Indigenous. Anney, we got to put that on our list when it is released.
Yes, absolutely. Well, in the meantime, listeners, yes, please go check out her work. And as always, if you have any suggestions for this segment or anything else, thoughts, resources, we would love to hear from you. You can email us at hello@stuffmonevertoldyou.com. You can find us on Blue Sky, Mom Stuff Podcast, or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff I've Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have some new merchandise at Cotton Bureau, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer, Christina, our executive producer, Maya, and our contributor, Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your favorite shows.